Hello. Today, I'm going to be ranking the bosses from Shovel Knight, Shovel of Hope, from easiest to hardest. For clarification before I get to the rules, I will only be talking about the bosses from this campaign, as there are 4 different campaigns, and they all play differently, so ranking everything would be a nightmare. With that said, here are the rules. There are no difficulty options as far as I'm aware, so the rule here is no upgrades whatsoever, no health, mana, or weapon upgrades. This rule is just for one boss. For Black Knight, I am only counting his final fight, as not only is it the hardest in the game, it also makes this list a lot easier to work with. I also won't be considering challenge mode for this ranking. It puts too many specific rules for some of the bosses, so keeping everything consistent is how I want to do it for this ranking. Finally, no version exclusives. I'm playing on the Nintendo Switch, so I couldn't access them even if I wanted to. With all of that said, let's rank some bosses. Number 16, Tinker Knight. Tinker Knight has 2 phases, his normal phase and his tank phase. His normal phase is pretty simple. Tinker Knight will throw a wrench at you, which comes back to him. This is super easy to dodge. Just jump. He can jump after throwing the wrench, which is still pretty easy to dodge. He may trip after this, which can lead to his next attack. Whenever Tinker Knight trips, and he gets back up, he may throw a bunch of wrenches. Stay away when he does this. But this can be great for damage if you're confident enough. When he's out of health, he goes to the tank phase. The lance of the tank is how you get up to Tinker Knight. If you stay on it for a while, you will slowly slide off the lance. The tank will shoot 3 large missiles out of the giant arm cannon. These are platforms to help you get on the tank's lance. There will be missiles on the shoulder of the tank. When you're on the same height level as them, just stand here. If he takes enough damage, he will make his tank hit the right wall, fire a bunch of shoulder missiles, and go to the left wall. Stay on the lance or the shoulder of the tank. It should be really easy to do so. After this, he will throw bouncing bombs for the rest of the fight. When they are red, you cannot pogo off of them, but when they are blue, you can. This sounds like a lot, and it is, but why is this fight at the bottom? To explain shortly, in the tank phase, when you get the timing of the shoulder missiles down, you can shovel drop on the Tinker Knight's head constantly, and you only need to stop to get back onto the platform. Nothing can really stop this if you don't get hit. His normal phase being so easy doesn't help either. Overall, Tinker Knight could have been higher on this list, but shovel dropping ruins everything for him. Number 15, Mr. Hat. Mr. Hat will have 2 different hats he can use during this fight. The 2 hats are a warrior's helmet and a feathered beret. When he switches hats, they will form a shield around him before he uses that hat. Stay away when he switches hats. When he's in his warrior's helmet, he will use these attacks. Mr. Hat will get up close to you and strike with a cane sword. If you keep shovel dropping, you'll never get hit. Mr. Hat will throw up to 3 swords in the air. If they hit the walls, or you hit them with your shovel, they disappear. If they hit the ground, they'll stick to it. If he connects with any of the swords, or switches hats, they will fly into the air and go towards you. You can easily bait the swords to dodge them. When he's in his feathered beret, he uses these attacks. Mr. Hat can bounce around on his cane. This attack is very easy to dodge, and you can get free damage in. Mr. Hat can leap into the air. When he leaps, he will throw plates as he rises, and these plates will go straight. When he descends, he throws teacups in an arc. The plates and teacups can be broken via the shovel. This is super easy to dodge, and if you're able to, you can get free damage. Mr. Hat is this low because you can combo him for absolutely free. The only difficulty you should have here is when you fight him for the first time, but because you can die here if you're too reckless, he's not at the bottom spot. Number 14, King Knight. King Knight will hop around the arena. Dodge this by going under him as he hops, or jump over when doing shovel drops. After some time, he will do a big hop and strike the ground, stunning you if you are on the ground during this time. If you mash hard enough, you can get out of being stunned early. Regardless of if you are stunned or not, he will then slowly walk towards you. When you get close enough, he then does a strike. Dodge this by moving away or jumping towards him and getting damage in. King Knight will stop in place and then quickly slash to the side you're on. Dodge this by jumping. When King Knight gets to half health, or enough time has passed, He will go to the corners or the middle of the screen, and 2 horns in the foreground will launch 8 to 12 pieces of confetti into the air. The confetti goes in a zigzag pattern, while slowly falling to the ground. The confetti itself isn't hard to dodge, but with everything else going on, it can be a bit tricky. While he isn't effortless, Knight can be taken out extremely fast, and it's super easy to do so. Number 13, the Big Creep. The Big Creep cannot be damaged normally. It can only be damaged by the 2 light orbs that are always around during the fight. Not only are they useful for doing damage, you can do shovel drops, which means more vertical height. Whenever the Big Creep isn't doing anything, it will hover around the edges of the arena, then travel in a circle on the edges, until it gets so fast it teleports. This isn't hard to dodge, but timing is needed here. After this, the Big Creep will teleport several times, and whenever it does, it homes to a position you were recently at. Dodge this by either baiting it or going near the middle of the arena. The Big Creep will summon 5 Invisishades. These can only be damaged by the light orbs, but they die instantly. They can also be intangible for some time if you hit them with a shovel. The Big Creep will duplicate itself into 3. If you hit a clone with the light orb, it disappears. If you damage the real one, all clones will disappear. This is easy enough to deal with, as long as a light orb is easy to get. When the Big Creep loses enough health, it will summon 2 green, floating skulls. They will go from side to side, firing pink and blue skulls. The pink and blue skulls can only go down. These last for the rest of the fight, so it's gonna be very important. Make sure you know where the skulls are gonna drop. When it comes to the difficulty of the boss, I'm not too sure, because this fight can either be really easy if you constantly combo it with all the light orbs, or really annoying if you can rarely use them. But since either situation isn't too bad to deal with, it ends up here. Number 12, Mole Knight. Mole Knight will shoot out of the walls a few times, going very quickly in the process. Use your shovel to get damage on Mole Knight during this. After some time, he will drop and slide across the ground, shooting out sparks in the process. The sparks have a pattern to them, so use that to dodge. After that, he digs up blocks to launch at you. The stacks of blocks will get bigger as the fight goes on, and they can become different types of blocks as well. If you're able to, break the blocks and try to damage Mole Knight with your shovel. If you do this right, he'll take a bunch of damage. He will then burrow underground, and hide under one of the 4 dirt piles that summon. It's easy to see which one he's in, since his visor is visible. Make sure to hit him when he's hiding, as if you don't, all dirt piles will summon a bunch of flames, which are practically guaranteed to hit you. If you do hit him, he'll be stunned for a bit, before doing his next attack. Mole Knight will be covered in magma, and bits of that magma are flown towards you. The ones that constantly flash, you can hit with your shovel to damage Mole Knight when he does this. Magma will also spawn from the ceiling, and it'll last for some time before it stops. Mole Knight stomps the ground to make dirt blocks fall from the ceiling, which can be somewhat annoying. Mole Knight can be annoying, but once you learn the opportunities to get crazy damage in, he'll be gone very quickly. Number 11, Spectre Knight. This isn't an attack, but whenever Spectre Knight is higher than the platforms, he can float from side to side, damaging you if he collides with you. Hit him with your shovel, so he gets pushed back a bit. Spectre Knight can move to one of the 4 corners, and throw his scythe toward any corner of the arena, in an arc. He will usually teleport to where the scythe will go, but it will sometimes go back to him like a boomerang. Deal with this by seeing where he's gonna throw his scythe, and dodging from there. Spectre Knight will raise his scythe, before charging towards you and slashing. Dodge to slash by jumping over him, or jumping to him, and getting damage in. Spectre Knight will summon 3 bone clanes, 2 on the platforms, and 1 on the ground. They die in 1 hit, but they're meant to be a distraction. If any of them are still alive, when he does this again, Spectre Knight will just kill them. When Spectre Knight gets to 3 circles of health, he will darken the entire arena, making it hard to see. Occasional thunder strikes will bring the arena back to normal for a bit. While this is annoying to deal with, it's easy to still know what's going on. While Spectre Knight is especially challenging for this point of the game, he has a lot of opportunities to deal massive damage, preventing him from being a threat. Number 10, Phantom Striker. Whenever you get close to Phantom Striker, he will strike you with his foil, jump over his strike, or just stay away. When lightning strikes Phantom Striker, he will send lightning waves towards you 2 or 3 times, and if he does it 3 times, he will send a tall wave for the 3rd strike. Lightning will also spawn on his sides and above him before this, so make sure to stay away. When lightning strikes Phantom Striker, he will teleport across the arena up to 5 times. Each time, he will send a lightning ball towards your current position. This could be hard to dodge, but you can easily bait them out. When Phantom Striker gets to half health or lower, he will summon wind that will blow in either direction, pulling you in that direction. This lasts for the rest of the fight. Phantom Striker has easy attacks to deal with overall, but getting hit hurts heavily, as it does a full circle of damage. But as long as you're careful and focus, you'll be fine. Number 9. Plague Knight. Plague Knight's arena has many blocks that are able to be broken, and Plague Knight can also break these. He also has erratic movement, and teleport across the arena. Plague Knight can throw flashing bombs. You can parry the bombs back at Plague Knight, but his movement can make some of them miss. They explode when they hit the ground, and some of them will cause 2 fireballs to trace the floor on both sides. Plague Knight can also throw these in the air, and he can throw several at a time. Plague Knight will summon 2 vats. These are unbreakable by you, but if Plague Knight breaks them, they will explode. Stay away if possible. When Plague Knight gets to about half health or so, he will summon a row of vats across the arena. Plague Knight is very chaotic, but he's pretty simple. Stay calm in the chaos and you'll be fine. Number 8. Baz. Baz will sometimes put the rope he uses over his head. This prevents you from shovel dropping onto him, but when he lets go of the rope, you should be fine from there. Sometimes when he lets go of the rope, he can strike you with it. Jump over it or shovel drop on Baz, and you'll dodge it. Baz will jump high into the air and hit on the 2 brick formations on the ceiling of the arena, swinging onto them. This is a good time to get damage with the shovel drop. When he lets go of the rope, he will sometimes strike the ground with lightning, sending a lightning bolt on each side. He can also grab onto another brick formation. All of this should be easy to dodge, since you have time to react. When Baz gets to half health, lightning will strike him, which will make him stop moving for some time. The lightning that radiates from his body will travel through the 4 diagonal directions for some time. For the rest of the fight, he will have a lightning bolt strike him once every 2 seconds, which will have 4 smaller lightning bolts strike in the 4 diagonal directions. This makes damaging Baz super annoying. Baz was super weird to rank. He's really easy in the first phase, but challenging in the second phase, which evens him out to this spot. Number 7. Propeller Knight. This is the first fight on the list with bottomless pits. If you fall into them, you instantly die. Propeller Knight will fly across the arena in an arc. Whenever he goes near the ground, do shovel drops on him. Propeller Knight will make quick lunges with his sword. These are easy to dodge, and you can get damage in during this. Keep in mind though that he can delay them, which can make it trickier to dodge. Propeller Knight will use his helmet to blast you into the air, mainly happening if you constantly shovel drop on him. He will try to impale you with his rapier as you fall down. If you are careful with your shovel drops, you can counter this completely, and when he tries to impale you, hold one direction and keep holding it until you barely sneak past him. Propeller Knight will use his helmet to try to push you off the arena. By itself, this is easy to dodge, but everything else going on can make this very tricky to dodge. When Propeller Knight loses 2 circles of health, he will summon an airship, and that airship will drop 4 bombs. He can also push them with the helmet attack. The bombs will explode after 3 seconds. Make sure to move one away from the rest, or move it off the arena with your shovel. When Propeller Knight loses 4 circles of health, the airship will summon 2 cannonballs that will break parts of the ground and split the arena into 3 segments. These cannonballs will constantly spawn every 2 to 3 seconds for the rest of the fight. These add more pressure to an already intense fight as is. Propeller Knight can be challenging, but stay calm and you'll be fine. Number 6. Treasure Knight. Treasure Knight will move a set amount of distance very quickly. Dodge by moving away or jumping. Treasure Knight will aim his anchor arm towards the walls, ceiling, or ground. After a second, he fires the anchor. He then either pulls it back or pulls himself towards the wall. Dodge this by jumping and try to get damage in if possible. Treasure Knight will rise up a bit and punch the ground after some time, causing golden ripples on the sides of him and where he is. Dodge the ripples by jumping, and if you can, damage him and move away from the ripple towards Treasure Knight, you'll be fine. Treasure Knight will throw caltrops into the arena. The caltrops will rise until they hit the ceiling or damage you via contact. Stay away. When he gets to 4 circles of health, or enough time has passed, he will throw a chest into the middle of the arena, throwing caltrops in the process. The chest acts like a suction, pulling the caltrops in you towards it slowly. If the chest traps you, you'll get hit by whatever he does next. Get a bunch of damage in if you can, since he stays still. If you can't, run away. Treasure Knight can pose a challenge if you're inexperienced, but he's nothing too crazy. Number 5. Black Knight. Black Knight has 2 phases, his ground phase and his wind phase. These attacks are in its ground phase. Black Knight will occasionally phase across the screen. He is invincible while phasing, so this can be super annoying if he spams it. When Black Knight shoots fireballs, he will phase across the screen and shoot several fireballs. If you hit a fireball with your shovel, Black Knight will hit it with his shovel until the fireball hits someone or goes off screen. Black Knight will constantly shovel drop, and he won't stop until a certain amount of time has passed or you hit him. After enough time, he switches into his wind phase, and he can switch back into his ground phase. Every other attack is in the wind phase. He fires forwards in several directions. He then flies across the arena. He can also do shovel drops. Black Knight will summon 6 meteors with a shovel, 2 at a time. 2 go to the left diagonally, 2 go to the right diagonally, and the last 2 will go down diagonally, 1 in either direction. The meteors will also leave debris, which Black Knight can shovel drop onto to turn it into 2 pieces, sending 1 in both directions. You take damage if you touch them without shovel dropping. He can then dig up the ground, sending chunks of it towards you. The purple ones you don't hit, but the flashing ones you do. Don't get me wrong at all, Black Knight is difficult, especially with these rules, but he's way too honest, which leads to him being here. Number 4. Reize. Reize will throw his 2 boomerangs. They will bounce all over the arena, until they eventually come back to him. Since Reize will be knocked back when you hit him, this can be used to keep this attack going for longer, which can be a good or bad thing. The boomerangs can be unpredictable, so dodge them the best you can, and make sure to get good at positioning. Reize can also do a drop kick. The drop kick is fast, but it's easy to dodge, as the kick is very short. When he gets to 4 circles of health, he will spawn 5 flames around himself, which can hit you if you touch them. Hitting the flames will make them disappear, although it's only 1 per hit. This fight isn't too crazy when you learn it, but it's pretty hard to not get hit here, leading to its difficulty. Number 3. Propeller Knight. Propeller Knight will lift his shovel above his head after you damage him with a shovel drop. After about 2 seconds, he will counterattack. This means that comboing with the shovel drop is impossible, so you can't combo him like you can with most other bosses. Propeller Knight will kick, causing snowballs to appear. He will stop kicking them if he is hit or after enough time. If you hit a snowball, it will be knocked back in the direction you hit it in. They can also be somewhat faster than usual. After this, he charges to the other side, picking up whatever snowballs are still around. Then he will throw whatever snowballs were picked up. All of this isn't too crazy to dodge, but be careful of the snowballs. When Propeller Knight loses about 3 circles of health, he will leap into the air, and after a second, he goes to your current position. The snow that is affected will be broken, revealing spikes. Whenever he digs his shovel, snow will also be broken, revealing more spikes. And when the free snowballs are also kicked up. The spikes are insta-kills, of course. Be careful when damaging Propeller Knight, as you will be pushed back when you hit him. After some time, more snow is sent down as icicles, which will damage you if they hit you. If any snow hits the ground, it covers the ground again. This boss is pretty challenging, and you need to know what to do. Number 2. The Enchantress. The entire arena is made of breakable blocks, so be very careful when shovel dropping, as it can backfire with bad timing. The Enchantress will throw fireballs in several different variations, 1 at a time, bursts of 2, bursts of 3, it doesn't really matter. She can also throw fireballs downward. If the fireballs hit the blocks will break until the fireball goes off screen. They can be reflected by your shovel, but be careful regardless, as if you can't reflect them quickly, they can be a massive issue. She will go to the top of the screen, and create fire pillars that will affect certain blocks. When this attack is over, it will restore the blocks if any of them were broken. Dodge this by moving away. At half health, the Enchantress will start dashing across the screen at a fast rate, but playing it safe is recommended. Her pattern will change to hovering below the breakable blocks, making it risky to damage her. She will also start throwing fireballs upward, hovering across the arena while throwing fireballs, 1 at a time, and the fire pillars will become a lot bigger, albeit lingering for a shorter time, so you can jump over them with good timing. The Enchantress is pretty simple, but man is she annoying. Since she's pretty challenging, she gets to this spot on the list. Number 1. Remnant of Fate. Shield Knight will be in this fight with you. She will help boost you up to the Remnant of Fate. which can only be hurt by shovel dropping on the top of its head. She can also defend you from certain attacks. When you do enough damage to the Remnant of Fate, it will quickly move to either side of the arena, or the opposite side that you're on. If you're quick enough, you can chase it, and you can continue comboing it, although you do need to predict this. The Remnant of Fate will raise one arm, and release 8 pink balls from its hand that move from side to side, including changing speed and range when they collide. Make sure to get the timing for this attack down, as it can be super annoying to dodge. The Remnant of Fate will unleash several energy balls across the entire screen, covering all of it. The only way to dodge this attack is to get behind Shield Knight, who will block the energy balls to protect you. When it gets to half health, it will fire 2 waves of energy balls. When the Remnant of Fate is at half health, it will destroy a platform, making a bottomless pit appear. It will only do this twice, and the spots are the exact same. It can also destroy even more platforms if the fight lasts long enough, but again, they are always in the exact same spots every time you fight it. This makes the fight a lot more annoying, to say the least. The Remnant of Fate can release pink energy balls at you, either in bursts of 3 for a total of 12, or 8, firing 2 at a time. These have slight homing properties, but they won't go after you if you move away from them. This can be tricky to dodge, but nothing too bad. This is absolutely final boss material, despite it being an easier final boss than usual. It deserves its spot up here. Thanks for watching this video. Here's my list for the boss ranking. This video's been due for nearly a year as of writing, and as of editing, it's been more than a year. I promise you, this big of a delay will never happen again. With that said, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again with the Model F video.